Doctors who change their gender apparently have their entire records
are allowed to scrub past wrongdoing from the public record.
completely and utterly scrubbed clean.
How's that right?
Today we had the Times and the Telegraph pretending that trans people are changing genders.
Doctors who change their gender apparently have their entire records completely and utterly scrubbed clean.
To get out of their past employment misdeeds. Like, it wasn't me that did it. It was my dead name. It was my old character that did. That's what they think is happening.
How's that right?
We talked a little bit about this on the paper review. One thing that I missed was like how stupid it is. This, to have this undercurrent subtext that suggests that trans women would pursue that just to, to have a modest blemish on their HR record erased. Was it really be worth that? Really? Wouldn't it just be easy to get another job? Wouldn't it? I mean, think it through. Like Wes Streeting was on the rounds.
Health Secretary Wes Streeting has condemned the practice and demanded immediate changes.
Wes Streeting's out here like, I am extremely concerned. He said he was extremely concerned that trans women might be able to escape the medical registrar's scrutiny and repercussions when they change gender because their records are just wiped. They just get a brand new record.
Completely and utterly scrubbed clean.
And I was like, right, okay. Yeah. But concerned or not, extremely concerned or not, do we really think? Just reason with this for a second. Do we really think that the 0.5% of Brits who are transgender, that's how small a number you're talking, and then the tiny chunk of those who might have got into trouble at work, right? So we're filtering it down. A really tiny number of people here. The 0.5% of Brits who are trans, the tiny number of that 0.5% who have got into trouble and got some sort of HR recording of that trouble, and then the tiny proportion of that number who work in the NHS. Are we really thinking that this is such an extremely concerning number of people? An extremely concerning loophole that's being abused here of quack doctors who are just transitioning to escape the repercussions. Really, is it that much of a problem? Are you extremely concerned? Are you?
And that's really dangerous.
How's that right?
Can you imagine if that was your mate, who you were meeting in the pub? You're just catching up with him for the first time in a while, and you're like, "Oh yeah, how's the job going?" I heard you weren't settling in that well. Heard you were having a little bit of trouble with your job, and then your mate's just like, yeah. No, well, actually, it's a bit weird, but I found a solution to that problem." And you're like, "Oh, okay." And your friend's like, "Yeah, well, so they were giving me disciplinaries for taking too many fag breaks and coming in late and all of that stuff." You're like, "Yeah, right. Well, it turns out there's this loophole. Turns out I did a bit of digging. Turns out they can't actually access my historical HR information if I have my dick cut off. Fucking score." You're like, "All right, that's the plan. That's the get out, is it? You can have your fucking penis cut off to get out of a small verbal warning at your place of work. Have you thought this through, Dave?" I was talking to a friend of mine about this earlier on today, and she works in the NHS, and I was telling her about this story that it's based on. The Times, the Telegraph articles are sort of rooted in this. I'm going to take this shirt off. I'm absolutely roasting. Just literally just thinking, it would really add something to this story now. If I took the shirt off and it was bare chest, but I'd had some tits, I was going through the transit. This would be a hell of a way to break it. Is that transphobic to say? I don't know. Anyway, I was talking to a friend of mine, He says, revealing his new D cups. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and she's a female doctor, works in the NHS, about the story that this story is rooted in. It's about a nurse who allegedly bullied the trans doctor. And she was like, hang on a second. So the doctor was born male, right? And I was like, yeah, apparently. Then, trans woman doctor, right? She was like, and she transitioned. So now she's a female doctor in the NHS. I was like, yes, by all accounts, that is accurate. And my mate was like, I mean, the irony here is, she goes, her words, not mine. She goes, give it a couple of months for the payslip to come through, and then she'll see the wage gap between being a male doctor and a female doctor, and she'll be like, oh, this is fucking shit, and transition back. Don't shoot the messenger. I just thought it was funny. I'm not mocking. Like, nobody's mocking anyone for, their life choices or how they identify or anything. I'm just saying it's a reference. We're taking the piss out of the ridiculousness of the wage gap. Okay, good. We better move on before I put my my fucking foot in my mouth anymore.
How's that right?
Just another video with Adrian.